compost, organics, and rock. And so I put it on the sieve, pick out the rocks. So I'm making a rock collection because throughout the year, whenever I'm composting, I just throw everything, including rocks, into the compost.
Well, spring has sprung here in Austin. Flowers are blooming everywhere, and we're spending more time outside, which only makes us miss France even more. Jojo and I can't wait to get back over there and see what's blooming in our walled garden. Last spring it was incredible, full of so many colorful flowers.
It was really overgrown, and we cut a lot of the shrubs way back so that we could see what new growth would look like. And we're really curious to see how it's doing this year. For now though, we thought we'd share some interesting things we've learned about our house in Amboise from visiting with the family who used to live here. Salut, I'm Patrick.
And I'm Beth.
We're fixing up an old townhouse in the Loire Valley of France, uncovering history and trying to solve mysteries.
We're creating our home in a space for art workshops. Come on along.
One mystery we had in our house was, what is this switch for? And we just didn't know what it was for. You turn it on, the light comes on. It's actually an old LED, like old. And you turn it off and nothing happens. And it's on this wooden plate. And we wondered for a long time what it could be. We thought maybe it was for some sort of solicitor sign outside, or some other magical thing that we had no idea existed. So when the family visited us the other day, they actually solved the mystery for us, and the mystery of the missing linoleum floor. The solved mystery is that there was a coal heater that sat right there, and that was the switch for the blower to blow the hot air around. And the heater, they would actually put coal in it and then eventually some other fuel, and it tied into the pipes here apparently. And they told me that there used to be a flue pipe that went straight up the stairwell over to the wall and out over there to one of the chimneys. That to me is amazing, but also not really surprising. It makes perfect sense that in the earliest days of central heating, they would have something like that, and a switch like that would be necessary. So anyway, we can safely remove it or just leave it on the wall.
We also wondered what this big rock was in the garden. It seemed to be something important, but we didn't know what. What do you think this is? We thought maybe it was a plinth that used to have a statue on it. Well, we were close. It actually had a sundial at one time. Maybe we should replace it. We'll have to keep an eye out. We might find a cool one at a salvage yard or something. And we've learned the true age of the addition at the back of the house where the kitchen is. Take a look at the decorative trim along the roofline. I'd always thought it was like from the 1950s or so, but I was off by about 130 years. Here's photographic proof that this extension was here in the 19th century. This photo was taken right outside the kitchen window, and it's dated 1896. Now that I know, that totally makes sense, because the kitchen has those huge built-in cabinets, and also the evidence of a flue pipe just visible under the wallpaper. An old cook stove, something along these lines, used to be right there. I just hadn't put all the puzzle pieces together. We also learned the origin of the little shed that we call the Hobbit House. It was most likely constructed as a pigeonnier, a pigeon house or dovecote, though these days it's much more useful as a garden shed. Patrick suspected because of the boxes, but I wasn't sure because I thought, well, those could have just been useful cubby holes for storing tools or something. But he was right. And I found a great article on the history of pigeon houses in France. If you're curious, I linked it in the description below.
And we found out about the broken stained glass window. The sisters chasing each other through the garden to the back door. One of them put their hand out when they just couldn't stop in time. And apparently, Dad was none too pleased about that. And that's the story.
So one of the dreaded problems of an old house is water coming in. And we have a little bit of a problem. I think this is the last water problem that we're working on. So this is the front salon. Out there is the street. And the lower baseboard trim is actually a synthetic material. It actually has asbestos fibers in it because it's a pressed board of some kind, and then layers of paint on it. But one thing that we noticed was that we have water in this corner here. So like I said, the street is right there, and then this is the neighbor's property. One thing about the neighbor is that nobody's lived there for about 40 years, apparently. So no one's maintaining that property at all. And this is the baseboard that should go here. And basically it was nailed onto old oak framework that was screwed onto the actual stone walls. And this old wood, the only thing left is the cellulose structure. There's literally nothing left to hold anything on, which means there's been water ingress here for a long time. And this baseboard also wants to come away. I haven't pulled it off yet, but if I go down here in the corner, and I've got a big shadow because I have my work light, but if I go down here, this is wet down here. So let's go outside and take a look and see what's going on outside. Here we are in the corner of the house, and this is our house. This is the neighbor's house, downspout, and the drain to the downspout. And the previous owner told me that this tree has been growing here for years, and that every year he would come and clip it away. And I think that's probably part of the problem. It's growing in to a crevice there, and if there's a tree growing there, then there's water there. So I think we need to probably open this up and see if we're clogged. Not exactly clogged. I went ahead and cleaned it out. It wasn't clogged, so I don't think this is the problem. There's no leaking there. I think the problem is that there's a gap there and the water just seeps down into the back. So I got to go in from the inside of the wall, figure it out. Okay. Looks like we're going to have to do some more investigation from the inside. This is all rotted out behind here. Again, this is synthetic material, so these boards will not actually rot, which is great. But the thing holding them to the wall is completely rotten, and this is totally loose. So I think what we're going to have to do is
pull off all of these boards carefully and investigate what is going on with the water. It's in the corner. It's where the tree is, but I don't have access to where that tree is rooted. But I think the tree is basically just a conduit for the water. And it went too long as a seedling, and then now it's now it's just a conduit for water. So I think what we may have to do is actually get a jackhammer in here and remove it from the inside out. I don't know. I'm going to talk to some people, see what they think. Stay tuned.
As y'all know, we love using color in our spaces. The front salon is now pale green, and the back salon is blue-green. And there's going to be an intermingling of the colors from room to room throughout the house. In the furnishing, such as this rug I found that has both salon colors, and in the doors. Here's a mock-up of how it will look when finished. When we have the doors open, the teal side of the door will be in the green room. I love how the two colors look together and the energy they bring to the space. Since we'll eventually be hosting creative art workshops, it's totally fitting to use bold colors in these salons. But the tricky thing has been designing the Grand Salon for the multiple uses it's going to have, while still hitting the right mood. This is essentially a formal parlor with really beautiful features. Like all of the moldings, the ceiling rose, the marble fireplace, and the large bay window with original cast iron hardware. We want to keep the feel of an elegant, entertaining space, but we'll also be using it as our casual living room. So finding the right furniture pieces will be key. We want antique couches that look kind of fancy, but are also actually comfortable to lounge on. We're going to be watching TV in here, something the original inhabitants couldn't even imagine. So it's a bit of a challenge to furnish the room, but one I'm having fun with. A bit of glamour, a dollop of coziness, and all with an easygoing sensibility. That's the vibe I'm going for. So with all that in mind, here's a mood board I've put together. A nod to the past with antiques, but they're mixed with contemporary pieces, and a playful use of color and pattern. I think that will all come together to create a room that's beautiful and refined, yet inviting and comfortable. Let's take a closer look. We have a Samsung Frame TV, which has the art screensaver. We're going to frame it in gold and place it on an easel, basically copying what YouTuber Lone Fox did. I put his link in the description. For the furniture, I'm hunting for comfy pieces in 19th century styles, either true antiques or high-quality reproductions that are actually comfy to sit in. We want couches or day beds with sturdy side panels so that we can recline lengthwise on them to watch TV. So these are good examples of the type of sofas I'm talking about. We already have this coffee table and this mirror. Both are auction finds. This awesome high pile, cozy striped rug is currently at IKEA. So I plan to have one delivered as soon as I'm back in Amboise so I can see if it's a good match with our paint colors. I plan to bring in small amounts of blue-green with things like the curtains and decor to tie in with the teal doors of the back salon. And I want to embellish the ceiling rose with a little splash of color like these painted beauties here. So what do you think of my ideas for our multi-purpose Grand Salon? Does it seem like an inviting space to you? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.